All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday morning. It's like 6:30. It's super early, and this is what you get at 6:30 on a Sunday morning. But really, this is kind of what you get all the time. So who am I kidding? All right. I wanted to talk about something I'm like incredibly excited about. This morning, I was up really like stupid early, and I watched. Let's see if it focuses. Can I get it to focus? Yes. On Netflix. If you got Netflix, they have a series called The Mind Explained, and this morning I watched this episode right here on anxiety. You could tell because the thumbnail for it on Netflix is Maria Bamford. She's like an excellent comic. Anyway, if you have Netflix and you have 20 minutes to spare, I strongly urge you to watch this little special on anxiety. If you are still not sure of what's going on with you because you're not sure of why you're afraid of so many things, why you're having panic attacks, why you're having a hard time leaving the house, or maybe this is happening to one of your children or a family member or a friend, and they don't know what's going on and they're confused and lost and directionless. This is one of the most excellent 20 minutes that I've ever seen that explains the problem of anxiety and an anxiety disorder and what it's all about. So I want to do just like a really quick sort of review, the highlights. The opening sequence, they use a warthog being threatened by a lion as an example, and it's very well shot and it's very well animated that explains exactly what goes on when you perceive a threat. So they use a warthog, which is a kind of a cute little, maybe not so cute little animal. I don't know. A warthog being sort of stalked by a lion, and this is what happens to the warthog, and this is what happens to the warthog's body. So the illustration of all the things that happen when you go into fight or flight response to your eyes, to your heart, to your digestive system, if you're having stomach problems, you're afraid of nausea, your vision, your muscle tone, the temperature in your body. They explain all of those things in very simple terms. And here's the best part. When they finish this little animation about the mechanics of fear and the fight or flight response, they literally take it and relate it back to a person. And the person talking, there's a couple of excellent therapists that are talking, and one of them says specifically, like, this is a absolutely exquisite, perfectly evolved biological adaptation that has taken millions of years to get to where it is now, and it works. It's there for a reason. So it's so good. I fist pumped, like got psyched, like amped up a few times while watching this little 20-minute special. So just the mechanics of the fear response and having it related back to the fact that it is a perfectly normal, acceptable biological thing that we want and we need in our bodies. It is not an illness or something that says that you are broken. That alone, that first 5 or 6 minutes, is worth watching. But then it goes on to talk about so many other things. The highlights for me: the four different classifications of anxiety disorders and what they're based on: uncertainty, right? Catastrophe. The other one was evaluation, things like social anxiety. And I forget what the other one, catastrophe, evaluating. Why am I drawing a blank here? I can't remember. Uncertainty, and I forget what the other one was, but it covers the four different kind of axes that you measure an anxiety disorder on, or that you classify anxiety disorders on. And it covers panic disorder and how it morphs into agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is the ultimate expression of panic disorder. Talks about OCD, talks about social anxiety, talks about general anxiety disorder, and explains a lot of what that is. Then you're also going to find a really, really solid explanation of how anxiety has sort of evolved over the last 150 years, whatever it might be, in medicine and society. That was great. The different treatments and what we used to think you should do for anxiety when you were feeling anxious, the different things that women were told to do in the 1800s. Men were sent to go like live on a ranch and like do manly things to fix their anxiety problems. It talks about depression. It talks about the advent of pharmaceuticals in the modern age and how those are used. And here's where I started to get a little cringe. Like, I was a little nervous when they started talking about medications, because if you guys follow me, you know I'm not a huge fan. They have their place. Don't get me wrong. Don't freak out. But I started to get a little bit cringy. I'm like, uh-oh, here it comes. But it never came. They talked very honestly and factually and objectively about modern medications and the role they play and what they're used for and how effective they may or may not be. And then they immediately went to talking very also honestly and without judgment about the problems with medication, the side effects. And one of the mental health professionals that was talking in the film literally made the statement like, we don't know. Like that was so refreshing to see somebody say, we really don't know. We're like his specific words were, we are pitifully unprepared for this, like an acknowledgement of so much that we don't know about the brain and how it works. So that was a really honest discussion of medication, and I appreciated it. It, acknowledged the effectiveness for people, but also acknowledge the drawbacks. But then it really ended so strongly in talking about cognitive behavior therapy. And you guys know I beat the drum about this all the time, and specifically exposure. And just watching Maria Bamford, who I think is a great comic, she's very open about her struggles in this little documentary. She's open with her struggles about anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, intrusive thoughts, irrational intrusive thoughts that she couldn't get rid of. And she's honest about what those were. She talks about how she was taken through the exposure process to help her with those thoughts. And when she described, you just have to let anxiety fill all the way up and panic fill all the way up to its highest level and discover that you don't die and you're okay. When she talked about that mechanism, I like literally jumped out of my chair. It was so good. And the last thing I would say is hearing one of the psychologists talk about, he literally makes a statement near the end of the film that probably the best way to treat it, really, he says, really treating anxiety is all about learning how to experience anxiety. And that is everything that you need to know. So everything that you've ever heard or thought about, making it go away and treating your symptoms and what to swallow to regulate your adrenals and your all kinds of crazy stuff that people throw at you, that's all designed to make you feel better. That ain't it. So I strongly suggest, again, it's on Netflix. It's called The Mind Explained, and the episode is on anxiety. 21 minutes that I cannot recommend enough. I know I'm rambling. I'm probably not making a lot of sense in this, but I just wanted to share it with you. Check it out. And then if you have questions or comments, or you just want to say that it was awesome or you hated it, whatever, just go ahead, put them in the comments. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So that's it. I'll get going. Hope you guys enjoy your Sunday or whenever it is that you're watching this. I hope you enjoy the little 20 minutes that I recommended for you here, and I'll talk to you later.